Okay, due to a combination of stupidity and lack of technical knowledge, I guess I would say, Paul Manafort's own lawyers have completely blown the door open on Russian collusion. And we now have, for the first time, thanks to Manafort's lawyers, we have a Trump campaign official confirming their intent to collude with Russia on the 2016 election, and they actually did so. This story is so incredible in the ignorance and stupidity that it exposes, that it almost stretches credulity that this has even happened, but it happened, and I'm going to explain it to you today. You'll remember that Donald Trump's former campaign manager, Paul Manafort, has been convicted of all sorts of crimes. This happened last year. Now his lawyers are saying that he is really not doing well physically or psychologically in prison, and that is now being brought to a court's attention. But what you may remember is that he has done a lot of bad things. Not only did he commit a bunch of crimes for which he was convicted, he got himself into more trouble because after making a cooperation agreement with Robert Mueller's prosecutors, he lied even more, which is a violation of the plea agreement. His lawyers responded to that claim, as lawyers do, but they messed up big time because what Manafort's lawyers tried to do was to put out a filing that redacted 4 sections in their filing and blacked them out. And we're actually putting up just one page of this filing, and people can see on screen right now that the court filing has a bunch of different lines that are blacked out, redacted, so to speak, except they didn't do it correctly. And even though in the image we have up on the screen, a bunch of text is blacked out, it looks redacted, this was done in such a way that if you merely highlighted that blacked out text, copied it, and then pasted it into another document on your computer in Microsoft Word or in WordPad or Notepad, it pasted the full unredacted text of what was covered up, meant to be covered up. An incredible mistake. And the real blockbuster isn't the ignorant lawyers, the technically ignorant lawyers of Paul Manafort. It's the content of what they tried to redact, because the redacted text says that Manafort lied to Mueller about meeting Konstantin Kilimnik during the 2016 campaign, specifically to talk about the, quote, Ukraine peace plan, which is code for the Trump administration's softening on U.S. policy towards Russia for their actions in Ukraine. Kilimnik is connected to Russian intelligence. So this is a document not from Christopher Steele, not from Democratic operatives. This is a document from Manafort's own attorneys, which confirms that the campaign chairman of the Republican nominee for president, who eventually became the president, met with a Russian intelligence agent, met with an individual connected to Russian intelligence during the campaign, specifically to discuss what would Republican policy be towards Russia and Ukraine, and to share polling data with that same Russian individual. The document confirms collusion. Now remember, collusion in and of itself is not a crime. If Donald Trump knew that this was going on, that would be conspiracy, and it would potentially be obstruction of justice depending on how Donald Trump answered those questions in writing to Robert Mueller. And there's a whole bunch of possible crimes that are connected to what is admitted here in this faulty redaction of Paul Manafort's document. Remember how Russian actors ran those targeted campaigns to try to influence the election? And one of the things they did was target voters in specific parts of the United States in certain ways, and in other parts of the United States in other ways. Kilimnik is a business associate of Russian oligarch Oleg Deripaska, who has been tied into influence campaigns. And by the way, the Trump administration decided to lift sanctions on Deripaska. He's connected to the guy Manafort was meeting with. So this has been blown wide open, Pat, by Manafort's own lawyers.
Yeah, these people are criminals, but they're not criminal masterminds. And contrary to popular belief, they do not have the best people working for them. If you want to get away with a crime as serious as colluding with a foreign power to win an election, you have to be smart about it. You have to outsmart the FBI and make sure that you cover your tracks. It doesn't really look like they did that in this case.
Yes, and of course, collusion, again, not in and of itself a crime, but the entire conspiracy to do this and the cover up is what may contain a whole bunch of different criminality. And this certainly makes that case far, far stronger. Trump's campaign manager, while campaign manager, Paul Manafort, provided to the Russians during the campaign, remember, data that they then used to target voters in specific states to help Donald Trump defeat Hillary Clinton. The only remaining link that we would be looking for now is that Trump knew this was going on. That would involve him in a criminal conspiracy with Russia to seize the presidency. This didn't get the attention it deserves because of, surprise, surprise, Trump's bogus border wall immigration crisis primetime address last night. Maybe by design, maybe not, who really knows? But every single box is being checked. Slowly but surely, take any one of these issues, take any of the allegations that have surfaced over time, and what at first is a question mark, slowly but surely becomes a definitive piece of knowledge about what it is that took place. Every single box being checked. Imagine what we will know in 6 months or by the end of 2019. Absolutely stunning. And unfortunately, again, because of the timing of Trump's border wall address last night, this should have gotten a lot more attention. And there's some complexity in it. You have to understand not only what was the court filing, but why is it relevant that Manafort admitted to having lied to Mueller about his meetings with Kilimnik and how Kilimnik is related. Right? You need to understand a bunch of stuff. It's much more interesting to corporate media to say Trump addressing the country about the border wall crisis. Way easier, probably better ratings for them as well. Follow this story and other stories from today's show on the David Pakman Show Instagram page at David Pakman Show. And while you're there, follow me as well. I'm on Instagram at david.pakman. Today's sponsor is Skillshare, and I'm excited to tell you that everybody in our audience is getting 2 entire months of free access to Skillshare when you click the link underneath this video. Skillshare is the site that offers over 25,000 online courses on almost any topic you can imagine: cooking, meditation, photography, video editing, Photoshop, managing a small business, almost an endless list. And whether you're trying to get ahead in your career, maybe you want to learn new skills that will make you better at your job, you might just be exploring a new hobby and you're trying to find new ways to be creative in your personal time, Skillshare's the perfect place to fully immerse yourself in whatever you're trying to learn. I really enjoyed the class on more advanced video editing techniques because it's something I've been wanting to improve at, but have been very busy hosting the David Pakman Show for the last few years. Once again, the David Pakman Show is giving you 2 whole months of access to every single class offered by Skillshare. After those 2 months, if you want to keep your subscription, Skillshare's super affordable at less than $10 a month. Get better at whatever it is that you're passionate about, or discover something brand new that you didn't even know that you would love, and join Skillshare's other 7 million users by clicking the link underneath this video.